the key experiences that led to your current role?
Yeah, so just a little bit about what my current role entails. So I lead consulting for IBM for Asia Pacific, which is a multi-billion-dollar business today. Asia Pacific has different definitions depending on who you speak with. In the context of IBM, it is actually 5 market clusters. So it's India and South Asia. It's ASEAN, which is Singapore, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. Although we do work with Malaysia and Burma and all these countries as well. It is Seoul, South Korea. It is Australia and New Zealand. And it is the Greater China Group, which is mainland China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. I'm responsible for serving clients across all of these regions, and I'm responsible to support my teams, which are about 7,000 client-facing executives across the patch, and more than 70,000 consultants involved in delivery. We work with clients across 18 industries, and we straddle the entire gamut of consulting, which is all the way from strategy, advisory, everything to do with customer transformation. So whether it's the design, the advisory, the RX, and all of that, supply chain, talent transformation, and data and AI. And also the technology that comes with it, which is cloud and all of that. So it's a very exciting road, and we call it that this is the golden age of consulting for us. My journey, I spent about 25 years in the corporate world now, and all in 2 companies. I started off as a strategy consultant with PricewaterhouseCoopers. And this was more about, at that point in time, there was a lot of regulatory work going on in discrete manufacturing and industries. So my first project was on dismantling, the whole price dismantling in the energy sector. But then it's been a series of experiences I just netted out for you guys. So I think the first one was the diverse work patterns of projects that I took on. To your question on what led me to this situation. So as I started out, I did a number of strategy assignments, starting with India, but then quickly used the opportunity to go abroad. So I did a lot of work in US, I did a lot of work in Europe. So just the ability to do so much of this complex transformation strategy gives you different perspectives. The second area, in general, so no particular chronology, is that working with very large teams and setting up large teams. So at any point in time, when I was running all of the delivery centers in India, for example, that was like 70,000 people. So setting up these teams, getting behind the orchestration of these teams, which is delivery, which is operations, which is utilization, anything as you can imagine a resource supply chain. I think the third area was also the experiences when you turn around businesses or you set up new businesses, and especially in different parts of the world. So I did my share of those. In terms of starting up new businesses, I started up the whole high-tech industry, as we call it, which took me to a lot of countries in Europe, which took me to a lot of places in Japan. So just getting into the bottom of the high-tech industries. So that was a business I set up from 0 to get to 5,000-6,000 people with a big P&L of a couple of $100 million within 2 years. And then going up to another different country like Philippines and starting up a delivery center in Manila. So, and there isn't, at that point in time, there aren't really role models in India who choose to go east. Everybody is headed to the US or to the Europe, so traveling east and setting this up was a big thing. So on and so forth. Every time you take a failing business and turn it around, the learnings are phenomenal, are massive. So different projects in different countries, taking on these mandates of building large teams, turning around businesses as you want to do it, and then visualizing different aspects of a business. So all of this, if you realize, were massively planning and implied. I also wanted to do operations because when you start to understand what makes the P&L go, right? What takes the P&L? That's when you also need to have a very strong appreciation of operations. And by the time I was done with this, probably I was told, I don't know. After that, I've been doing 14 years of P&L. I first managed India Consulting and now APAC Consulting. I am measured on obviously signings, the order book, revenue, profit, client satisfaction score, delivery excellence, what else? Capacity build in terms of how many in AI, industry, so it's the entire gamut. Yeah, so I guess that was in essence the hallmarks of the journey and what's working here.
Rightly said. I mean, that's true that everybody wants to go to the West, and there's a whole new business that we can establish in the East as well. As you mentioned that today's CEOs and CXOs, they are really concerned about how they can implement all the technologies like generative AI or metaverse in their workforce. But then there's one of the report that we recently did a research where they say that although CEOs respond to the pressure to accelerate AI adoption, but their teams are more hesitant, and we can see the percentage that is around 66%. So, what role does data analytics and AI play in IBM Consulting? How are you handling this problem?
So there are two angles to this problem segment. What do we do internally and how are we applying it? See, I tell you why customers are very nervous. Because earlier you do a use case on the side. Now if you do use cases which are the core of your business, that's where CEOs are driving. There is very little room for errors. See, in Australia, or that for that matter, even in Singapore, in Australia we're down, the entire train system is operated like this. And it's infused with a lot of AI, which tells you about the scheduling of trains and all of that. Now, the margin of error goes down significantly. Singapore, the whole Singapore train system, the Singapore MRT, the Singapore one is all. So it's now mission critical work, and CEOs want to go past. But yes, candidly, the team below are nervous because of multiple reasons. Nobody has fathomed the security angle of it. What is the risk involved? The competence required, the skills required to do this at scale, is again. And third is, it's just, right now it's no longer, the architectures on which these technologies are running have been designed long ago. So are they going to be resilient enough, right? So those are the conversations because of which downstream everybody is concerned. Now, from our perspective, we have started to take a slightly concerted approach to this. We started with the support functions first. So we first went on to HR. Initial AI was automation. Okay, how do you automate certain tasks? How do you automate? And then you went into more insights. So, just about instead of doing the standard HR role, we started to do hiring, CV screening, job or writing the job descriptions, blah, blah, blah. Then we moved on to the next, which is actually AI giving you a recommendation on promotions and careers of people. For that, we have to train data for the last 18 to 24 months, trying to look at who is training the data, what data sets we have. Because more often than not, bias comes in by the people modeling the algorithms themselves. So we went on to HR, we are now into procurement, we are doing finance, and then we are also applying it to the way organizations are structured. You probably now start to, the reason I said this is going to have a massive impact on the human supply chain is earlier on, remember everybody said to bring the cost down, have flatter pyramids. Sounds familiar? You should have more people at the entry level, very senior. So we talked about flatter pyramids. Well, the base of the flatter pyramid is going to go away. Because you are starting to create a lot more automation if you're doing testers. You've got low code, no code. When there's no code, what happens to the developer population? Right? So this needs a lot of orchestration. But the truth is, you can construct work that is starting to move up the higher profile in the work itself. So we are looking at all of that. Our clients are already asking us, right? I mean, can, any project you take, if any of you are into healthcare, clinical trials is a project which deploys massive numbers of testers. Because we're doing a lot of data testing from drug trials, okay, A, B, C. Now imagine if all of that is AI generated. So those are the thought process. So what's the high order work that you can do? Those are the kind of conversations we are having. As IBM, we dabble with real problems. Our problems that we work with are mostly enterprise grade. Today we are working with NASA. We are working with Ministry of Defense in probably every country that we operate in. We are working with healthcare systems everywhere. So it's got to be a very concerted conversation about starting with the governance of data, and how you apply technologies to that.
Right. Strategies have you found helpful in maintaining your mental well-being while managing a demanding role?
I was talking to Rani because she has a classical answer. She's a big Sadhguru fan, and she knows Sadhguru said, work is you have to do, balances in yourself. Well, I think if you ask around the room, everybody will have, a process or a trick that works for you. Well, in my case, I think, I let me handle the work life, and that probably is what makes it. See, for me, it's never been a work life. Work and life are not two different facets of who I am. It's like, you are a daughter or a wife or a mother. So, to me, they have both coexisted. And the strategies that have helped me is, number one, I anticipate work and the stress or the everything else that will come with the work. And then you make your ecosystem around to help you deal with what comes in. So, whatever, I think whether I work or not was never a question, but when you're taking on different roles, you start to anticipate what comes along with it, and are you prepared? I'm not saying a plan B, but how are you well prepared on that? So that's one thing, so that it doesn't surprise you. It doesn't, and there is no one mantra that will work for anyone, right? It is you. What is it that you need? How you deal with that thing? And again, I'm pointing to Rani, we were discussing, and I told her simple things like, for me it works that I do not like to make my own tea in the morning. So I have someone who comes just to make tea. Somebody may find it very, exaggerated, but it works for me because that is my time in the morning. So I think make your ecosystem, whatever works for you. So anticipate this. The other thing is your calendar should always be, it's cliche, but it really works. Your calendar should always be a combination of things that drain you and things that energize you. Always. So it's a little counterintuitive to flow. People say do everything while you are on one topic. If you read the book Flow, it says if you're doing sales rhythms, then do sales rhythms in a go for 5-6 hours for things to come up. But I think those breaks are important because your mind is not your mind is not wired unidimensionally. So it needs creativity injected every anything that gives you a different flow, so that you come back and you're a lot more productive in what you're doing. So therefore, it's important for mental well-being, not on a day-to-day basis. My calendar is always filled with, I'm doing clients, I'm doing people, I'm doing operations, I'm doing this. And then I don't like this thing people say, when I have some time, I will do this. Actually, I do a lot of things other than work. In fact, to me, work almost feels secondary sometimes. Because I'm into music, I'm into dance, I'm into writing, I'm into reading, and these not once in a lifetime thing for me or once in a month thing. These are like daily plans. So as a result, you also have a good balance. Sometimes your work part of your day may go bad, but you've learned a beautiful piece in music, or you just painted a beautiful picture, or you just learned the next best step in Qatar. Or so there's so much that you can do. So I think for mental well-being, it's good to balance your states, so that when things start to go up and down, you can try to see get energy from elsewhere. Yeah, and I think so. To me, that's it. I mean, it's really about anticipating. It's really about making my strategies work for me at home and at work, and seeking. I think make friends. It's very important for well-being. I mean, I'm not saying mentors. I'm not saying teams. I'm just saying make friends.
That's true. And especially when you have all the hobbies like music and art and dance, they bring a lot of discipline in your work as well.
Yeah.
Because for music you have to rehearse a lot, right? So that is how even your work gets framed and structured, right?
And you meet very different people. So I have the days when I do my cadence, the market cadence, or how are the numbers rolling up. That afternoon, I have a very different session, because you meet different people. When you're going into a music environment, you're going into an art environment, you're going into a book reading environment, and everywhere there's something to learn. So yeah, just make it work and do not overthink. I was telling somebody, you don't have to be an extraordinary person. I mean, I know there would be a few leaders, who run or create multi-billion-dollar businesses like in maritime. But all of us can have great careers. You have to prepare for the long term. If you play the full innings, you will have runs on the scorecard. If you're out, you won't have runs on the scorecard. So if you have a career that lasts for 30-35 years, you're bound to have success. So how do you last for 30-35 years? Avoid burnout. Right? I mean, you would do sprints sometimes, you would do marathons sometimes, you would take a break sometimes, you would do different things sometimes. So just prepare for a long-term career. Success will come automatically.
Nicely said. So just like the 7 bets, this is the last question, 7th question for you. As a female leader, what message or advice would you like to convey to a woman, especially in our batch, who aspire to pursue leadership roles?
First of all, I do want to encourage you. Please pursue the leadership roles. Because you look at it today, how many times have you seen that you start out with one design for your house, but the minute you start to integrate, the design changes? Yes? It's for any buying decision, it's for any conversation. It's because it's a different perspective. So isn't it scary that 70% of the times the decisions are being done by a single gendered profile? It is scary, right? So we need more women to be on those decision making places, because those inputs are important. So look, I could give you a list. You go into any book and what advice for women, there's no dearth of lists. But maybe from my own experience, I will tell you a few things. I would start with competence. It's important as a woman to have competence with you, and there's no shortage to hard work. Because competence then gives you success, right? Success allows you to be courageous. Courage allows you to be vulnerable. You are not vulnerable when you are insecure. If you're secure, you can be very open with what are the issues, etc. The minute you are vulnerable, you have access. You created access. You create network. You create friends. So I think the first thing is competence, and it also is about. I mean, people say you have to work doubly hard, triply hard. I'm just saying work, but work with a purpose. Be outcome focused, because convert that work into something. Otherwise, you will tire out and you're just working for everyone else. Right? To me, that's that's one important thing. The second thing is what I told you. is anticipate a lot, because women are very circumspect and you seek validation all the time. Everybody does. Anybody who says I don't is not being truthful. Everybody seeks validation. So I would just therefore say that when you are in that mode, right, when you are seeking, so anticipate. You take a new role and for the first 3 meetings it's not gone well, and you just say that hey, I didn't do well. Well, you took a new role. It's new because you don't know it already. But prepare that for the first 6 months it's going to be a horrendous ride. So how are you planning for it? Who can you fall back on? What's the network system you have built? Every time I take on something, somebody asked me, tell us about your failures. I said, I don't fail because I stick it out. You may start out doing something and the outcome would have been, but if you stick it out, you may not get there, you could have done something else. So stick it out, but anticipate. I think that's a big thing. You have to, lean on. The third one I would say is anchor yourself on some values, because that's the compass that will help you navigate. And my biggest growth has come whenever I have stood up for a line that I didn't want to compromise on. Anything, whether it is standing up for a team member or standing up for something else. So that also helps you build a brand, which is very, very important, right? What are you known for? Because there are so many. What are you known for? And it also gives you courage. I feel the smartest or leaders who make it big would have had many such situations in their journey, which has taken an amount of extraordinary courage that you didn't know you had. And you can only measure that courage if you're starting and anchoring on your values in terms of, what else? And I would say, speak out your aspirations loud, right? I mean, there's no point just having it to yourself and not doing it. Let people know about it and see how you want to go about it. But to me, that is it. Do not overthink this. Say more yes than no, because that then starts to open up portfolios for you. That's how you grow. Otherwise, you're just incrementally, or if you want a radical growth, say yes to something and see what happens. If you've never said yes, you don't know that price. But I think these are few things which you won't probably find in a textbook. But this is real. When you're starting out, hard work. Because you have to have successes in your book of ledger for people to believe in, so that you are credible. And once you are successful, courage will automatically come, confidence will automatically come, right? And you will be more vulnerable and people will reach out. So I think, be clear about your aspirations, prepare well, hard work is there, anticipate, that's the real truth. There's no rocket science. Just about not overthinking. Never believe career is an option. I can't believe when people say, when did you, how did you decide to what? I mean, it is just another part of who you are. Yeah? Another part of who you are. But and the other thing is also determine, be very clear as to what does success mean for you. Sometimes, you can be successful and yet not happy. I'm at that age group right now where a lot of my friends, remember you get all these friends with on a WebEx and somebody starts this philosophical question, are you happy? And I'm starting to think, well, why not? But it is a real question people are asking. So if for you success is being happy, then choose that. Choose a job that makes you happy. Maybe you do not want to be somebody who's managing the stress, P&L. Maybe you are happy if you have a lot of friends and you have time for that movie and you want to do music. So that's, because in the end, otherwise, even if you're successful, it will not feel like success. Chances are if you're happy, you will feel like success. So that's the other thing I would say. A lot of women chase someone else's dream, but chase your dream. Chase your dream.